Okay, everybody, game number 1 of the day. We have our draft. It's HGC Qualifier number 2 for Europe, and we have TeamLiquid going up against the Outlaws. A best of 3 series in the first round. 2 teams qualify. Keep in mind that every single team that qualifies for the league next year gets already $100,000 flat. So there's a lot of money on the line. On top of that, of course, the teams will still receive salary. You will also be able to compete for that big prize money, those prize pools and sponsorship deals. But right now we're looking at a very fast draft, as Liquid is banning out Malfurion. We have a ban on Zarya. The map is Dragonshire, so again globals are going to shine here, which we have on the side of TeamLiquid in the form of Falstad and Brightwing. And of course, not alone today. I'm once again with Tetcha, and we're going to not only bring the coverage in-game, but also the drafting. Tetcha, what do you think so far about that Gul'dan pick here in particular for map on Dragonshire?
Well, we already saw at BlizzCon that Gul'dan is a very strong pick, especially when you're going to be fighting over a controlled area. If anyone steps onto that shrine and is unable to micro out the way, they're going to be taking a lot of corruption. And it does also stack very well with the Ariel. Once again, that corruption can give a lot of stacking as long as he can get even just one. It's consistent hope coming in for Ariel. And the pickup on the Ariel makes a lot of sense, considering Liquid were attempting a support choke, and that forces the Outlaws to pick something up a little bit earlier than they otherwise might have.
At this point, what's also going to be interesting when we're talking about the damage in particular is if we are going to see who we're going to see at the top lane, which is normally the dedicated solo lane, and if we're going to see the Haka again, which in the past online tournaments and qualifiers was actually a very regular pick and ban on this map in particular, on basically any map where global presence is important, like Sky Temple or Dragonshire. And the only thing that the Outlaws really have on the map right now when it comes to that is the potential stage dive on ETC here, whereas Liquid can set up ganks with Falstad, with Brightwing. They don't have a dedicated top laner yet. There's several heroes that could take that role, but they could still try and invest their last ban or the last pick into a hero that is really known for a strong solo lane, like a Thrall, like of course also the Alarak, and we have seen a lot of the Haka in this role as well.
Yeah, you mentioned the ETC stage dive. It's very likely we are going to see that. One, it's just insanely powerful right now, gives a huge amount of value on the shrines, and two, the just mental amount of crowd control that Liquid have got already, and it's all ranged crowd control as well. The Tiger's Grenade, the Polymorph, the Stormbot from the Muradin. But like you said, still lacking a solo laner for the moment. Outlaws looking to try and gain control of that particular setup for instantly with an Alarak as their 4th pick, still available with 1 pick, and like you mentioned, the Dahaka would be very solid for them. It would give them a lot of engagement, people may say, but the Alarak's the melee hero in that situation. The Alarak is sort of treated more as a mage that just so happens to attack from melee.
Yeah, at this point, I would actually be very surprised if they go for an additional Dehaka here. I could more so see it on the side of TeamLiquid. What I really feel they're missing a bit is more range damage. They have Gul'dan, and you explained already quite a bit about how he's usually trying to get the damage out, especially with corruption. He has great playmaker capabilities with the Horrify that can not only save your allies, but at the same time also attempt to isolate an opponent and take him down. But it still feels to me like they need a bit more sustainable damage. And Liquid has done a fairly decent job by banning out Vala, picking Falstad for themselves and Tigers. A lot of auto attackers here. There's of course still a couple of mages around.
Wow.
But the Outlaws are completely foregoing normal convention apparently, and add another melee hero and another melee assassin to their roster.
Yeah, the solo laner choke here coming in from Outlaws. So this basically means they can, like we said, already treat Alarak as that sort of ranged mage as the main engagement for them to set up for Thrall and situations like that. Limiting Liquid in terms of their solo laners to something maybe along the lines of a Leoric or a Chen. But looks like Liquid are going to go without that dedicated solo laner and go with Dahaka and just try and use one of their heroes as an effective solo laner in terms of just superior play.
I would actually not be surprised to see the Haka on the solo lane, but the Primal
agree.
Aggression has a level 1 talent right now, you have decent wave clear, and quite often on Dragonshire, teams have been actually moving away a bit from that traditional Dehaka play, where he's part of the rotation between mid and bot, and sets up ganks against the opponent's solo lane at the top lane, but has more so taken the role of being a bit of a solo laner that then, once the team fighting starts, joins the rest. So they have the options here, and with Falstad and Brightwing, they have now 3 globals that they can use in their setup. So guys, both of the teams with a very fast draft. Looks like most of them got what they were looking out for. Liquid with a lot of mobility here, whereas we have the Outlaws with the more snowbally comp, creating space for Gul'dan of course as well. So let's go straight into game number 1 here on Dragonshire and find out which of these 2 teams is going to take the lead. So welcome to game number 1, everybody. We are on Dragonshire. As mentioned before, and to the left side we have TeamLiquid with Sport Billy on Falstad, Ziku on Muradin, Shad on Dehaka. We have Gedamhead on Brightwing, Poik on Tychus. And to the right side of the map for their opponent, the Outlaws, we're currently seeing Focus on ETC, Veishi on Thrall, Monster Bear on Oriel, Devil on the only range damage dealer, the Assassin Gul'dan, and we have Duck on Alarak. So we have actually a fair amount of heroes that they can use as a designated solo laner. They can use Thrall here, which is very likely. Could even put Alarak into that spot. But let's find out how exactly it's going to work out here for him as we are starting the game off. And of course, with me is once again Techa, as we're going to bring you the coverage here of the HGC 2017 qualifier.
And the coverage is starting with Dak getting instantly engaged upon Poik, chasing deep. He is silenced. Ziku tried to chase him down. Dak, he is able to survive there, and no one killed off in this very action-heavy start to the game.
But that started off with quite the bang there. Shad once again in a great position. It was interesting to see that Shad immediately burrowed into the bush, and Brightwing used the opportunity to just teleport forward so that they had 2 heroes in position for the Lich and the Polymorph. They couldn't really capitalize on it with a kill, but they still made a really nice start here, putting the pressure on the opponent. The rotation is now starting, and as expected, Dehaka has been taking the top lane, and he is facing off against Thrall, so we're seeing Alarak in the rotation for the Outlaws.
Yeah, trying to clear as best as possible. Alarak, very effective at ganking. He's one of the few heroes with a ranged ability that can pull an opponent nearer to you, along with Stitches and Kerrigan. We are seeing ETC getting harassed on the rotation. He isn't really a huge amount necessary to the rotation in terms of minions. He's really better in terms of the ganking ability that he does offer. So harassing him isn't going to do a huge amount other than make sure that Poik and Gerd are a little bit safer.
Now we are on Dragonshire, and we've been talking about the global abilities quite a bit. Dehaka, even if he's in trouble up at the top lane, if he can delay with the burrow a bit, Falstad and Brightwing might be able to move top to help out. It's also a huge threat against Thrall, has to be very cautious. He might think he's in a one-on-one situation, but once that we are seeing Falstad flying in or Brightwing helping out, the tides can turn against Thrall immediately. This is of course a map where coordination is absolutely everything, needing to control 2 shrines to get the Dragonite, so it's definitely going to be a very rough game, I feel, for the Outlaws, unless they are able to snowball, which their composition is catering to.
Yeah, for the moment they are dominating this bottom lane quite aggressively, and Thrall isn't doing too badly in the top lane either. He's not really getting anything onto Dehaka, but he is keeping the pressure on and giving time for this bot lane to keep going and just keep pushing up. We're seeing slight rotations from Muradin every now and again to see if he can prevent this, but you can see it's ETC. Oh, well, Falstad rotating very effectively there, grabbing the Thrall. Very nice. This is what we were talking about. TeamLiquid's global gank potential that they can get, which is something completely denied to Outlaws.
Yeah, at this point we haven't caught the kill on camera, but Falstad flying in and trying to catch it here. So, as expected. Falstad, by the way, going not into a Season Marksman build. We've seen that outer attack hybrid quite a bit. But once again, these days, we are seeing more Falstad players going heavy into the Gathering Storm, trying to get that burst potential on isolated targets, which is exactly what's happening here. With a level 4 talent, the Static Shield coming to play to give him some survivability. And Liquid is able to pick up that first Dragonite. Well played here, taking the objective. Only 3 minutes into the game.
Indeed, Dak was trying to deny it as best as he could, but he did not want to take the risk of Sport Bully catching him out or someone else rotating to pick him off. And now, though, we're seeing very passive play from the Dragonite, and this is because the early Dragonite doesn't do a huge amount of damage, much like most early objectives, but it is also going to take a very large amount of damage. Its health scales very effectively to the late game. So instead, they're just going to use the Dragonite to control here. They're keeping the minion waves close, letting the other heroes do as much work as they can. Sportbilly, though, needs to be careful here. He will get out quite easily here, but did take a huge amount of harass from Veishi there.
That was actually a setup that Sportbilly and Shad were trying to set a bit of a trap against Veishi, but then with ETC rotating over, that immediately turned against them. Falstad also revealed himself by the time, since he was just saying, hey, we have the Dragonite bot lane, so let's at least get some value out of the push here at the top. Ziku is still alive, nice, eats a bit of the corruption here from Devil, but they are able to make the dwarf escape. 16 stacks so far on Gul'dan, so that's definitely helping. And at the same time, we are also seeing the quest talent for ETC Progrock roughly halfway down.
Yeah, Progrock not as effective as it used to be, as it's no longer an infinitely stacking talent. It does have a limit, but it does allow you, if you can stack effectively, to get that healing a lot earlier than you would otherwise be able to. And of course, he is going with the Echo Pedal on level 7, so we can spam out abilities as much as possible, help him clear minion waves a little bit better. And Alarak also going to go over Quest Talent, the Endless Energy. We're seeing this combo a lot, sticking with the double cross, but instead of going for the extra burst damage, allowing his team to get the damage instead and taking Endless Energy so we can spam out a bit more sustain.
Cooler reduction in general is a high priority for a lot of the players. In this case, we have Muradin going for it with the Iron Forge momentum as well. And already Symbiosis here, by the way, taken too. So even a little bit more cooler reduction for both of these. But both teams are currently just looking for opportunities to maybe get a kill in. Once again, we have Zico here at the side, waiting for the potential Stormbolt. But Monster Bear is coming in as well as Devil, so they have to retreat. The camp is still allowing them to push a bit harder. We see here also 3 heroes still at the bottom of the map, where currently Poik and Gerdam are currently just simply trying to push the lanes back and attempting to take their own camp in the meantime, as we have finally Shrines activating on the map once more.
Yeah, and once again, TeamLiquid going to try to look to control this, especially with this mercenary camp they're going to have in the bot lane to keep the pressure on. Monster Bear leading the charge here, with Alarak attempting to grab Ziku out of position here, but not able to grab anyone. But Monster Bear, for starters, easily the most inappropriate name for an Ariel, is going to attempt to move down and just take control with the rest of his team in this bottom lane with a 4-man rotation to start off with. Dahaka, though, has already got control of the top lane. Thrall not even trying to contest.
Thrall has a really rough time going up towards the shrine, since he knows that Foresight cannot simply fly in. The one thing that he's going to wait for is for a hero to die on Liquid's side so that he can take control over the shrine. So far that was not the case. ETC was in trouble in the mid lane, but the rotation is happening here again. But level 10 is now there, and that might open up a bit of a window that TeamLiquid can use to get another Dragonite. They're already starting to make their play for the bot lane, but they're attempting to get Thrall first, and they are able to make that kill happen.
Yeah, beautiful engage by Shad, just preempting his allies arriving, just making sure that Thrall is as far away from his base as possible and sending up the kill right now. Falstad has already rotated to bot. Dahaka too, they're going on to pull down, they get the kill on him. Dak also completely out of position, he drops. No, he doesn't. He did drop the Counter-Strike, but it was interrupted by the Aegis there. Oh dear, anti-synergy by name is Outlaws. We're going to see TeamLiquid rotate up to the Dragonite, and this will be their second of the game.
Counter-Strike into Aegis. That didn't really work as intended, I suppose. Both of them hitting the panic button quite hard here. Of course, Thrall has by now also the Earthquake, but didn't get a chance to really use it here. Same time now, we have the Dragonite moving to the top lane. The rest of the team, with the exception of Falstad, is barreling through bot lane, attempting to apply the pressure here and maybe even get a kill against ETC if he's a bit too far out. 4 kills against 0. So far, Liquid has the upper hand in the game and is taking a pretty severe lead in experience.
Yeah, and they're using that lead and experience to begin pushing the bot lane. They're going to attempt to race their way to level 13 before this Dragonite expires, so that they're right now using the Dragonite more as a delay tactic, forcing the Outlaws to stay in the top lane while they just push the bot lane with their 4 members. There's nothing ETC can do about it. Speaking of ETC, did take Mosh Pit instead of Stage Dive here, so no global potential at all for the Outlaws here.
Yeah, we talked during the draft a little bit about the potential for Finn to go for Mosh Pit, and I didn't expect it either, especially since we have basically every single hero on the side of the opponent with a chance to interrupt that. So I'm curious to see how much value he gets out of it. I mean, if you have a good Earthquake launching before the Mosh Pit is being set up, you have a very high chance of hitting quite a few targets. But if you miss just one, there could be a Polymorph, there could be a Stormbolt or Grenade. You can easily be interrupted in this situation.
Yeah, it's very strange. And like I said, the globals, there's now potential for one global, and that's the take flight on Ariel. And I do not expect us to see that. 1, because there are better talents, and 2, because it's level 20. And at this rate, I don't think the Outlaws are going to get there.
Yeah, the extra talent that we have coming into play now with the Whirling Dervish taken, we're seeing the Healing Static, so the combo with Healing Static and the level 4 talent, the Thunderburn for the double clap, is now in play. Means a lot of... Murden at this point just wants to jump into the opponent. He really wants to be in a spot where he's in the middle of 2-3 heroes, then he claps auto attacks, reduces the cooldown of his clap even more, and just heals himself up the entire time, with Brightwing helping out every now and then. Quick pause, not quite sure what we saw there, and maybe a bit of a drop from the looks of it, but apparently everything is good to go again. We will see another Dragonite being announced fairly soon, and the thing is, the discrepancy in experience here and the resulting talent lead for TeamLiquid makes it very, very hard now for the Outlaws to set up a play.
Yeah, they're trying though. They put a bit of pressure onto the bot lane, but that's immediately been just counteracted by these siege giants. The Team Liquid were able to get Veishi. Look how safe he's playing. He has zero vision of anyone on the map. And as such, he's unwilling to attack minions this close to his fort because he knows how dangerous the hacker would be to him. Just like, I can maybe get that. He's too scared. He doesn't know.
It's really safe play, and I mean, this is exactly what he needs right now. It's just like stay in, don't push the lane out. The farther you push the lane out at this point, the farther you have to move out to soak the experience, and as you already said, you expose yourself there. There could always be a trap set up, especially with Muradin also missing from map vision. If the dwarf suddenly jumps out of a bush and gives you a storm bolt, then the follow-up would be devastating. And they just simply can't afford to lose heroes now. They need to soak 13, they need to contest the next Dragonite, which is what they're doing. They gave up the camp down here at the bottom of the map, but now they have a fighting chance going for the next Dragonite, since they finally reached the level 13 talent themselves.
Yeah, and they're starting to attempt to move onto bot lane, but it's a little bit difficult. There's only 3 heroes down here, so they do have the numbers advantage with Falstad catching Thrall on the way. Falstad already rotated down. Here's Thrall getting caught here. The good Gust to try and counteract the Aegis here. And as such, Thrall with the sides actually lives. He's able to drop the Earthquake and immediately turn it onto Dahaka. The mosh pit also lands on almost everyone here.
That Earthquake really gaining value. Down goes. Oh my god, it's got Brightwing, a triple kill as Tychus dies. Earthquake now with the Frostwolf stacks that you gain and all that damage. Look at Thrall turning the tides of the battle. That was a bait. Well, it wasn't really an intentional bait, but it more or less baited the entire Liquid team into a very close encounter where they did not want to fight really against this. They were hoping to blow Thrall up. That didn't happen fast enough, and then he drops the Earthquake, and all of a sudden things are starting to turn against them.
Thrall got hit by pretty much everything there. The Aegis kept him alive for a bit. The Gust just didn't push Ariel far away enough. He was able to get that one last heal onto him. And as such, even though he was isolated, it's going to be a Dragonite going over to the Outlaws after getting their first 3 kills of the game, but in the perfect timing for them.
The one thing also, the Aegis actually, I don't even think it was intentional. The timing worked just out perfectly. When the Aegis was dropped, it was half a second before the Haka tried to actually lick him. And if that happens and he's in the stun, there's no way for him to get the Earthquake off before he dies. So that Aegis was absolutely perfect. The cooldown on the stun was there afterwards on the Haka. So in this case, Monster Bear with perfect timing just worked out really nicely for them. And they got 3 kills in the back of this. They are still up against the talent advantage of their opponent, but now they have a fighting chance when it comes to the experience gap. They will have a fair amount of time in which both of the teams will be on level 16.
Falstad flying in, he doesn't have Gust. He used it a little bit earlier to try and, like, just, I think, quite unnecessary on Gul'dan. It's a spectacular pause in terms of just how it looks. But right now, flying in just purely for the engage, they have 4 heroes here to try and catch Gul'dan here, but we do have a quick pause.
Yeah, and that is very annoying right now because I'm not 100% certain if Devil would have made any other moves, but Gul'dan is basically dead in the water, so at least he should be. With Sport Billy flying into the perfect spot here, they're isolating him. There's the Aegis once more, but kill could still be confirmed against Alarak, and there we have it. 6 kills against 3 overall now. Even that level 16 talent doesn't help anymore. The Dragonite, by the way, is still up at the top lane. The big problem that they have is the top lane, there's also only a fort that is being threatened. We're talking keep at the bot lane against the Outlaws now.
Yeah, and that's why they've dropped the Odin here. Not for a team fight, they're using it to siege. The Odin does outrage forts. They're also going to try and get Ariel here. She's dropped quite low, but heals herself back up. And Poi immediately moves into that keep and is just bombarding it with all his abilities. Takes a couple hits though. He was just in range of that keep there instead of Muradin tanking. And as such, we will see Liquid back up. But like you said, that Dragonite not getting as much value as they would have hoped in the top lane with what little duration they had left of it.
And Liquid, they broke through the wall at the bot lane. That's already a win for them right there. With 16 talents, we have now also the ability damage, the extra ability damage, thanks to Oriel. So that's something Gul'dan is going to be very happy about. When we have Thrall on the numbers, then we are talking about Giant Killer, plus also him using Tempest Fury here, so a well-known combo. Ruinous Affliction taken as well, and the Quick Mind. So really nice setup for the teams now that we have level 16, with Muradin also providing extra stuns, but still the lead for Team Liquid. The Outlaws, on the other hand, are fighting back now.
Yeah, we do also have from the Outlaws a sort of a a sort of contingency plan in the form of pure malice coming in for Alarak. So if his team does die and he's able to stay alive, he is going to stack up a fair amount of damage. However, like we said, that requires on him not dying, and right now he is being focused quite a bit in this game. We've already seen multiple Aegis having to be dropped on him and that Counter-Strike being used fairly consistently.
We have still camps taken on the map now. Both of the teams not really willing to invade the opponent's camp, with both of them being on 16 talents. You don't really want to risk that. Liquid is well aware that yes, they are leading in kills and in experience, but a lost team fight can turn the tides of the game very quickly here. So you need to be a bit cautious. They're playing a lot with the vision. The Haka is very far back. They're just simply trying to push the lanes back a bit and wait for the next shrine to be activated, which is the case as we speak. In terms of damage, we have Fawcett, by the way, on 28,000. Absolutely far ahead of everybody else in the entire game.
Yeah, he has gone for that fairly standard Q build, so he has been spamming that out and has been hitting pretty much everything. Tychus, though, may be able to catch up, though, with the Q build he's going for, which gives him a lot of AoE damage and some good single target damage, outside of just being a tank slayer.
Yeah, Fawcett is by now on a 43 heroes hit, which means we have him on an extra bonus damage of 64 on his Q. So still a fair amount of damage to push out. Helps him, of course, also with the siege numbers here, no doubt about that. Brightwing still holding the shrine at the bot lane as the Haka takes over the top and has now an opportunity to go into the middle. But the fight is starting to wrap up down here to the bot lane. Falstad, he might even be thinking about dropping a quick gust just to get someone in range for the Dragon Knight. And they have to be careful. Even the Haka could just simply burrow to one of those bushes, move in, and there we have the fly-in.
Only hits Veishi here. The Aegis is immediately dropped, but it's Alarak who's being focused here. He drops the Counter-Strike, keeping himself alive, and is able to heal himself thanks to that zap here. We're seeing Ziggler, though, also taking huge damage, and Liquid are just driving the back right now, but Sportbilly in a tough position.
Yeah, it was actually a really interesting engage there. They were waiting to just engage with their globals, but ETC came in very fast. Everybody's still alive. That Earthquake that was dropped didn't really help. And now the Outlaws find themselves still in a 5 versus 5 situation. They're getting healed up once again by Monster Bear and his Oriel. And we're having a big fight over this particular shrine happening right now with maybe our first victim. And it seems like it is indeed Murden that falls. Great play by the Outlaws, but the Dragon Knight has been stolen away by Sportbilly in the meantime, who simply said, I can't really stay behind you, but there's this thing in the middle that I might focus my attention on.
It's called the Objective. Maybe you've heard of it. I'm going to take it. And he's able to rotate up. Muradin just giving his life to ensure that Falstad was able to take that. He is gone for a while, but this does mean when he's back, he will have his heroic available again. It just means his team won't be able to capitalize on this Dragon Knight, but it's more about denying it to Outlaws.
So you get the Dragon Knight in this situation, you get a bit of damage in, and let's not forget, every single structure they take down is also, Shat, interrupted once, but no follow-up. It's also just another step towards level 20, which they have now reached. So we have at this point Epic Mount taken, we're seeing Rewind for Murden, we have the Storm Shield on Brightwing, the Haka still waiting, could go for the Hardened Shield, as we have the big red button for Tychus himself.
Yeah, that lovely nuke ability for Tychus. Very, very nice. Sportbilly finally popping out of that DK, immediately rotating up to the top lane to just continue keeping the pressure on the individual lanes. Clearing that lane almost instantly, only the melee minions surviving as they have a slight bit more health, but they die just like the rest eventually.
And they moved in with Gadam had too, so they immediately moved in with all the heroes they had there with global abilities up to the top lane. Of course, with them pushing the lanes back, it gives them a huge amount of vision and denies vision to the Outlaws, which is one of the things they want to do. They want to control this as much as they can now. They have level 20, it's an advantage for them, and if they can set up a bit of a gank because they control the vision on the map, that would be a huge victory right now. We still have 2 camps on the map, and at this point the Outlaws have to really start guessing, okay, where is our opponent? Is the Haka taking the camp? Is he going to be hiding in the bushes somewhere? And it seems more and more like they're just attempting to snipe the keep.
Yeah, and they've managed to draw basically everyone from Outlaws to the top lane. They have all bead back, though. Here comes the Odin. They're trying to siege this. It's a big commitment dropping this, but here is everyone from the Outlaws. Devitt's getting some good harassment here, trying to get them off, and the keep will live for the moment. More nukes coming in, though. So much siege potential, just thanks to this talent on Tychus. We need to see Outlaws push out even further if they want to try and save this, and that's a huge risk for them.
Yeah, they not only take the risk, but at the same time they have no level 20 talent. So with some of the heroics already being used by Liquid and them still not being able to take the keep down, we could see a counter engagement now. Reishi has on this Thrall also the Earth and Shields, so this is going to make it very difficult to fight on top of an Earthquake. Haunt is coming into play now too, and when we're talking Alarak, we have him now with the Deadly Charge. So at this point, there's a lot of potential playmaker abilities for the Outlaws and a lot of teamfight abilities that will really take them to a completely different level. That Earthquake in particular.
Yeah, they have, like we saw in last week's games, a huge amount of shields. The Shield of Hope, Urban Shields, and Storm Shield is going to make them so tough to kill. But Team Liquid just going for a different gambit right now. They still continue to take that map control that they get from Globals, grabbing top with Sport Billy, who does have his fly available thanks to that Epic Mount, so we can just come straight back down when he is needed. But for now, just getting more XP for his team, pushing top lane and keeping the pressure on. And that keeping the bot lane. If Falstad even wanted to, he could probably get away with heading down there to take that. And instead, he's going to come down and help his team as the Outlaws have pushed up very far.
You have to be very careful flying behind the opponent and make that gust play because of that Earth Shield. But that was a really nice move. Here comes the Earthquake. They're pushing them out. They're trying to disengage. Don't fight on top of that. It was a smart move by them. And Falstad is already taking another shrine. He's trying to sneak it again. We're seeing nobody move into the mid lane just yet, but Falstad is moving away very quickly. And in the meantime, guess what? Shad moved into the middle and they stole the Dragon Knight away. Smart move.
Beautiful play. Oh, are you serious?
No! Wow.
That's not okay. Either way, Team Liquid,
I don't think they ever had vision of him.
No, they didn't. He was completely hidden. But either way, they should have checked that. But we do see, once again, Team Liquid baiting out heroics, avoiding a fight. Oh my god, Outlaws. Oh dear. Shad, revealing them with the Dragon Breath. Denied so hard here. This is not good for them. They're continuing to push in. Team Liquid finally going to take that keep with the Dragon Breath here. They pop the Odin very far out of vision here, and they begin to move in to start getting that siege going. They're going for the Fountain, and as many heroes as possible. Monster Bear taking a huge amount of burst.
Yeah, Gyat immediately, of course, helping out with a bit of a speed boost, but at this point, the Dragon Knight is already on the core. The rest of the team is occupying everybody of the Outlaws. The move that led to this was very, very smart. Not fighting on the Earthquake and playing around the opponent. Now they go for the victory in game number 1. Right-clicking the core. Again, the Earthquake is on the ground, but it's too late already. Team Liquid taking the lead in the best of 3 series at the HGC 2017 qualifier. GG and well played. Infernal Shrines is game number 2, map number 2, between Liquid and the Outlaws. Team Liquid has taken the lead here. And while we're starting with the draft, you might have been wondering during the first game already, what about Varian? He is actually not allowed for this tournament yet. Normally when we're talking about official Blizzard tournaments, there's a 2-week period in which new heroes are not allowed to be played. A lot of online tournaments that are not part of the official circuit don't have these rules, so you might have seen the hero being played in one of those. But here we still have a ban on Varian. He's going to be allowed for the 3rd qualifier. Liquid taking the lead. We're playing on Infernal Shrines right now, a bit of a different focus when we're talking about the drafting process. We have Falstad about to be banned by the Outlaws, and Liquid actually started things off with a ban on ETC.
Yeah, ETC, Falstad. We're seeing a lot of bans on people with very impressive beards for the moment, but in all seriousness, these 2 heroes, insanely powerful. We saw just how incredible Falstad was with his global potential in the last game, and ETC is always showing power, especially on this map where Stage Dive can just give an amazing amount of potential in terms of just joining your team on Shrines, getting that little bit of extra XP due to the map's size in terms of rotations.
Alright, Sylvana's banned out. No snowball for Team Liquid, giving up the Falstad here. The interesting part is that in some of the online tournaments that I actually casted recently, Falstad didn't play as much of a role as you would think. It kind of shocked me a little bit that he was nearly completely disregarded. I think over the course of 2 online tournaments, I haven't seen him in play once. I saw him banned twice, but besides that, he wasn't touched at all, which was very surprising to me. So I'm curious to see what's happening here in the HGC qualifier, since especially at BlizzCon and afterwards, the priority on the global heroes has been very high. Right now, we already see Brightwing being played by the Outlaws. Of course, the Kerrigan coming in with this now too. Definitely one of the best Kerrigan maps that we have in the pool. Funneling through those small choke points outside the shrines is just absolute heaven for Kerrigan to get a good combo off.
Yeah, we've got lots of small choke points. If she is able to drop her ult on the shrine, she just gets an insane amount of shielding, which makes the shrines perfect engagement opportunities for a Kerrigan, which is exactly what you're looking for. You want to try and fight amongst as many things that you can hurt as possible to just get as much shielding as possible and keep yourself alive. TeamLiquid looking to counteract this by bringing out the Tychus. This is, of course, still one of the highest priority ranged assassins in the game, but also he's one of the few heroes who, if he can dodge the Kerrigan combo, can actually kite her. If he can use that overkill, he can kite her back into his team quite efficiently.
One of the things that also speaks in favor of Kerrigan, by the way, is that she can easily take an entire shrine by herself.
Oh, yes.
Thanks to the shield. So oftentimes you will see a team get an early kill, then Kerrigan stays on the shrine, everybody else starts to move away to soak experience. And Liquid is bringing something back that we have seen, I think, once in the last qualifier too. We have a Sonya back. Sonya was disregarded nearly entirely during BlizzCon, and even before that, oftentimes, she wasn't really played. She was one of those heroes that just fell out of the meta a bit, and teams have been saying, yeah, she is kind of underrated a bit, and she's still very strong. If we can make her happen, then we're going to do this. What better map to bring Sonya back than Infernal Shrines, where her ability to just sustain herself through fights on the shrine has always just pushed her on a completely different level. So I kind of like that Liquid is going for it right now. Probably going to put Shut on the hero, and that in itself is already pretty scary.
Yeah, you mentioned how Kerrigan can clean up shrines on her own thanks to that clean kill reset she gets on her Ravage. Sonya can do it with just her E. She is probably the original hero when it comes to soloing shrines. So both teams now have the potential to do that standard, leave one hero up top and try and gain advantage elsewhere on the map. And like you said, Sonya, a little bit ignored for a while, but appears to be slipping back. She was played a couple games in Gold Cup that I was watching earlier as well, and she was just as strong there as we remember her. She's just been slightly below what the picked heroes have been for a bit.
When we're talking Sonya, we had a ban on Tyrael for the Outlaws, which is actually interesting. Of course, Tyrael is great against the Kerrigan, since you can always make sure that she is not being able to get that combo out. At the same time, I could have seen the Outlaws pick up Tyrael instead, and just simply try to combine that with Kerrigan. But apparently they have other plans. They want to run this with a Muradin, and they of course also reduce the available amount of frontliners a bit, since they have now Muradin taken, Tyrael banned, ETC was banned earlier by TeamLiquid, who by the way weren't really a fan of that Gul'dan apparently and banned him out. And the Outlaws go for a double support, so we have one dedicated damage dealer then that they will pick up last. It could be a Vala if Liquid doesn't pick her up, but they have the Kerrigan, Tassadar. There's quite a bit of AoE on their side, and also of course that sustainability that you have with the Tassadar Brightwing. So that's going to be an interesting setup, but Liquid looking at the Zarya.
Yeah, and this is once again just responding in kind. Just like, oh, you've given your main carry a shield, we're going to do the same. Both teams really wanted to keep their melee assassins alive, in this case Sonya and Kerrigan, and finishing off like you called before this draft even started with the Johanna. Exceptionally strong on this map due to just pulling all of the demons close together and helping push the lane. And Outlaws, the Samuro.
Okay. Yeah, that just happened. So
yeah, that's unexpected.
But the interesting part about that to me is not really that Samuro is being picked. The interesting part is that they didn't really pick a dedicated range damage dealer. You have Tassadar, which can drop a couple of storms. You have a Brightwing for the Arcane Flare. But I mean, we all
Tass running it past you.
I could totally see an Archon here. You have no range damage, so damage Tassadar with Archon, you can drop that. I mean, I still have more, on this map in particular, I also expect the Force Wall to be used, but it wouldn't really shock me if they would say, hey, we need more damage, more range damage, let's drop Archon in this case. But that is an interesting setup against a Johanna with the blinds, against Sonya, Zarya, the Tychus in the backline. I have to admit, I did not expect that last pick. And of course, I know there was a huge controversy in the first qualifier when we had the one game with Samuro where his illusions were being healed up by self-casting your heroic ability. that particular mechanic has been banned out, so it's not allowed here. It has not been declared as a bug yet because the admins basically said they have to just talk to the developers and have to actually clarify if that's a bug or not, or if that's a mechanic that works as intended. But for the time being, the mechanic itself is banned out, so they can't really take advantage of that. Be it as it may, Infernal Shrines, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 2, Liquid going up against the Outlaws in the first round of the qualifier number 2 here for the HGC 2017. Game number 2, everybody. We are on Infernal Shrines, and we have a very, very aggressive draft on the side of the Outlaws with a lack of range damage that even led us to speculate over potential Tesla Archon plays as at least an option, even though on this map, of course, the Force Wall gets a lot of value. To the left side now, we have Sport Billy on Zarya for TeamLiquid, Zico on Johanna, Poik on Tychus, Shat on Sonya as expected, and Gerd is playing Malfurion. Focus to the right side on Murin in the front line. Veishi is playing Samuro. Monster Bear and Brightwing. Duck on Karrigan. And Devil is playing Tacita. So in this particular setup, the one thing that we have to watch out for is that the Outlaws have more or less the one-win condition, as Techa put it a bit earlier, go hard or go home. Engage hard into the fight, win it and snowball it. But don't let yourself be poked. There's the particle grenade on the side of Zarya. There's also, of course, the grenades of Tychus and the range damage. If you end up in a poke battle, you are going to lose. You need to pick the time to engage, and then the Outlaws have to roll over TeamLiquid. If they fall behind, it's going to be nearly impossible for them to come back into this.
Yeah, and for now, we're seeing talent-wise a bit more evidence that they really want to try for that one-shot style comp where they can just kill someone super quick. Shad taking a bit of harassment in the top lane, but we are seeing talent-wise the perfect storm coming in from Muradin, giving him extra damage, but so far he's actually hit nothing. So he is struggling a little bit in terms of those stacks, but if he can get them, he's going to really add to his team's burst potential.
The Demolitionist expert on the side of Zarya is very powerful these days. There's a lot of his focus on the particle grenade. A bit early here, if you ask me, on the Iron Skin, so Zico needs to be very careful that he doesn't pop that cooldown too soon. He needs to wait a bit until he's 100% sure he's actually dodging something. In this case, it did work out, but we have to keep close eyes on that. If you know that Johanna has no cooldown, or doesn't have the cooldown available, then you are in a situation in which you can actually just simply burst her down very easily. So this is something to watch out for. Also, Way of Illusion has been taken, which is an interesting first talent. Usually we see a focus on the critical strike in the Samuro games that we had thus far, but a bit of a different approach here by Veishi in this second game of the series.
Yeah, it does give you a little bit more sustained attack damage without relying hugely on consistent attacks to get those critical strikes. Zarya nearly gave engaged upon. Once again, Stormbolt not really landing. Still one hero hit total in this game so far for Muradin. Really struggling to really get that stacked up. Samuro not having as much difficulty in terms of his Way of Illusion. He is just really raising his damage for the moment.
Yeah, right now we have the first temple or our first shrine already fought over. And I mean, at this point, the one thing that you have to really watch out for is, of course, the poke that we've been mentioning a little bit earlier. So let's find out how exactly Liquid is going to use that. For now, they seem to completely be willing to give up the first one. And that is actually a strategy that we have seen a bit more recently, that teams are willing to let go of the first or second Punisher if the opponent commits with several heroes to the shrine, and instead just simply pushes the lane and takes a slight bit of experience that they normally start to lose again once that the Punisher gets value, but they still end up in a decent position without having to team fight, which is what Liquid wants to do here. They want to avoid team fighting a little bit until they have more tools at their disposal to keep heroes alive.
Indeed, like you said, they don't want to have anyone picked off this early on, which is what the Outlaws comp specializes in. So they're playing a little bit safer and just gaining advantages elsewhere. Punisher pulled over very efficiently thanks to that Iron Skin from Zico, who is just continuing to drop a bit of harassment. Punisher will go down very quickly here. And the towers will drop, though, at least one of them actually. They're not going to be able to grab the other one. Minions will be cleared before that happens. But overall, a little bit of XP, a little bit of damage. So far, Outlaws keeping it even despite TeamLiquid attempting to get that split push potential, but they were denied quite hard in the bot lane as well.
Yeah, so right now a slight advantage for the Outlaws when it comes to structures, but overall, as you can see, it evens out in experience, and Liquid finds himself in a very similar situation structure-wise. Yeah, starting to dodge again. Good job by Sport Billy, but the Blade Master Illusion Surround has been set up right there. So couldn't really escape. I like the approach, trying to dodge twice and not getting caught by the Karrigan combo, but then the Blade Master just closes the trap. They lose a camp at the bot lane, which is of course also a big deal. They had Zikuro moving to the top to soak the experience, but that was a very nice move that we saw by the Outlaws.
Yeah, and just that one engagement there pretty much doubled the stacks of Way of the Illusion that Samuro already have. He's really working his way up there very quickly now, especially with Ziku up here, who, unless he just continues to drop some very effective blinds, is just right now feeding Samuro more damage. As Samuro pretty much impossible to stop pushing with just Johanna. Johanna instead is going to rotate around here, just keep the lane a little bit safer, as Samuro can't push any further safely at this point. But she's just trying to gain control, and we are seeing from Samuro at level 7 the Phantom Pain. So he is going to throw a pure illusion build right now.
Yeah, it's a very cool approach to see that. Very different build from what Kuni-chan, for example, played during the last qualifier, which we also could then see in some of the other tournaments. But for now, the teams are both on level 8, so we're going into that second shrine phase with both of them being on level 7 talent. And with that, we have, first of all, an engagement tool with Conviction chosen on Johanna. We're seeing also the quarterback, which gives Tychus a bit more wriggle room when it comes to just him staying in the back line. So they are willing to actually engage into a battle at this point. They are not letting this one go. Both of the teams, of course, have those tools on 7, which gives Tacita the opportunity to pre-shield his allies. The cleanse is in as well, which helps against the Karrigan. And they're starting to jump in on the Shrine, where Monster Bear is already zoned out a little bit. Samuro trying to attack the back line, but there come all those grenades that we've been talking about.
Yeah, and the reason TeamLiquid are harassing as much this time compared to the last time. Oh my god, here comes Samuro and the bribing into the backline. Kerrigan jumping too. They're trying to catch Malfurion here, who's being dropped low. Veishi chasing him down, but Dak has been chased out. They get Malfurion, but Kerrigan is killed off in exchange. But Liquid are fighting this time because they have no choice. Down goes Tychus too, and this is the issue. They have no choice because level 10 has just been hit, or was about to be hit, so they couldn't resist split pushing here and losing another objective, and it is Archon.
It is indeed the Archon. Alright, I like it. I'm not really too shocked to see that. We've been talking about it during the draft already. Liquid had the one problem. Actually, I really feel like the trade that they went for there wasn't really a bad one. They lost Malfurion eventually, but there was a lot of resources dropped on the side of the Outlaws to make the kill happen. I like that they got the counter kill. One of their problems was that on the way back, we saw Tychus being blocked. He just couldn't move out. And with him dying, your range damage is gone. And that's then resulted in a bit of a snowball against them. So now exactly the one thing that the Outlaws needed happened. They won a huge fight, and they are finding themselves in a bit of a snowball position. They also went for the Blade Storm on Samuro, so even more damage now coming out.
Wow.
But the one thing that we have on top of it now is the Twilight Ring. And to me, that says that this time an engagement against Gad on Malfurion, like we saw in that last fight, would result in a disaster for the Outlaws. So they have to change their strategy when it comes to the targeting.
Indeed, there is the expulsion zone. It has actually grabbed Kerrigan here. It also grabbed Muradin, but Muradin was able to pull back. Kerrigan is blown up again for the second time. Right now it's Focus getting chased down here. He takes a bit of damage, but he's pretty far away at this point. Won't get slowed, makes it over the wall, and he will get out here. But going back to my point earlier, that fight was that objective was the perfect one for the Outlaws. Basically what happened there is because Samuro had already pushed that lane so much, that's why TeamLiquid had to fight up there, because they knew if they just gave that one up for free in favor of split pushing, there's a good chance that they're going to lose a keep because the fort will go down even easier. Instead, they want to try and contest and grab kills to prevent this kind of fight happening before the Outlaws hit level 10, but the Samuro changed that completely on its head with the help of that Brightling teleport.
Yeah, right now, as I said before, the one worry that I have is they won't be able to do that a second time, or at least they shouldn't. If Gad is attacked, he did a great job, by the way, escaping earlier. He was doing a really nice job keeping himself alive until the last moment. But if he's engaged again by 3 heroes, the only thing that he has to do is drop a silence, and this is going to end up in a disaster for the Outlaws. So they need to go for a different target, and that target is most likely going to be Tychus. So right now, of course, their objective is to try and fight on even talents, which might be a bit rough. But they're still doing a very decent job going for these kills. And by the way, talking kills, I couldn't believe that Muradin got out. Like, he was one shot away from dying, and I think then it was Tacita who dropped the shield on him and allowed him to live a bit longer, which allowed for his trade to kick in too. And then he was able to escape here. But that was pretty huge. Good cleanse, very good.
Yeah, that was, yeah, like you said, that was pretty huge. Him getting out of there, it was basically Kerrigan taking the fall for him as she came in to try and help him out. But that expulsion zone was pretty on point by Sport Billy, who was continuing to just scout for his team with those grenades at this point. But TeamLiquid, still a talent behind. They're reaching their level 13 very quickly, but that's still going to mean they're a huge amount behind on this objective, and I don't even think they're going to be able to fight for this.
Yeah, they might try to if they get that 13. They are very close. One more wave, and the wave is at the bot lane, maybe the one in the middle, and they should be totally fine with it. But the lead at 26, they're giving it up. They're actually just saying, alright, give it up for now. Brightwing is still top. Let's sacrifice the fort, make sure that we are on even talents, and we can always try and go for the engagement after that. So there's the Punisher. It's a frozen Punisher, so as long as you dodge those circles, you should be fine. Shad actually going for the camp now. That's still going to take a bit of time for him to accomplish. Whoa. Also a bit of risk.
If Brightwing scouts it, they may actually be able to contest it. But instead, they're just going to, Brightwing just pushing up, getting ready to teleport to her team for the moment. As the Punisher, like you said, TeamLiquid letting it go, and that's easily going to grab the fort.
Yeah, and in this point you can really tell they're not even contesting that in any way. So now they're just making sure that the top tier doesn't take damage. They have the camp pushing through. Brightwing will have to deal with that or just allow for the wave to be pushed back. But now the fight in the bot lane, and this is where it starts to become really tricky. They need to do some damage right now. They need to get some kills in soon. They're 2 levels behind at this point just because they lost so many structures. It's not even the kills against heroes. They made the right choice, in my opinion, not fighting against the level 13 talent, but it cost them a lot of EXP. They were willing to let that happen just so that they have the chance to fight on 13 versus 13 talents. So now they have to look for that fight.
Indeed, but they have to be very careful because of the level 13 talent from Samuro. That Sukuchi that I'm butchering in terms of names, probably. Oh, Muradin, you are almost definitely bowed. There's the root, there's the Condemned, and Muradin, the silence is dropped, he is picked off, but this is now a full team fight. Archon doing some good damage, in comes the clone, the Blade Storm doing great damage to Sport Billy here. Mafiro tries to heal him, but he's dropped so low, he is out though. Yeah,
they're still fighting, and that was at least a kill that they needed. So of course they would have really loved to do a little bit more than that, but the double support kept the Outlaws alive. That kill allows them now finally some possession of the map. So again, this game snowballed a bit. Yes, TeamLiquid is far behind, but it mainly started on the back of the fight up to the top lane, where we saw the second Punisher spawn. So right now we're just seeing engagements happening, and this is a very nice invade here. It's still a 5 versus 4, and they're trying to go for it. Kerrigan will die here. She is going to fall. That's the end of her. And let's see if they can maybe even lock down another target. If they can go for maybe Brightwing. But the blink heal comes back off cooldown, so now they can simply save her. But it continues this problem of them having to fight 4 versus 5. So even with a talent disadvantage on the side of TeamLiquid, they can now push this in.
Yeah, Dak's been having a really rough time this game, getting focused down. He has sort of been the whipping boy for TeamLiquid at this moment. But Samuro looking to try and help out with that. He has the harsh winds now. He's very much going for a backline assassin style here, trying to burst down a single person. Actually gets rooted here. He will be able to escape though. But the whole idea is he just engages into the backline, maybe gets a Brightwing teleport, and then just uses his Blade Storm on them, which means we may even see the upgrade for it at level 20.
The one thing I want to really point out here is that one of the lessons to learn from this game already is that sometimes you need to be willing to give things up. It was very tempting for TeamLiquid to fight for the last Punisher with a talent disadvantage. They didn't. They accepted that they would fall behind 2 levels, looked for the fight when they needed it, dropped Muradin, and that was their chance, their ticket back into the game. It's not guaranteed that they're going to win it, but they have a fighting chance, and if they secure the kill here, that would be a big step towards that goal.
Yeah, and a huge disengage there coming out of Outlaws. That was so imperative that they were to get out of that alive. But once again, TeamLiquid this time popping the Odin to try and harass down Veishi, positioning himself, waiting for his moment to engage the backline. There's the teleport in. He immediately goes onto the Odin. Here comes the Blade Storm trying to take down Tigers here. But Tigers taking through this with the help of the Twilight Tree from over the wall by Gerd. Polik finally killed off by Dak, but they're very deep.
Scared with the ice block already used here. Shad is trying to get some damage in, but once again the stun as Muradin is jumping in, using his heavy impact. Shad is still applying the damage in the backline. Everybody is extremely low. Brightwing trying to keep them alive as Muradin is moving away. 30 stacks against 12 as we have the Outlaws starting to take control over the Shrine. Zico moving in, Sportbilly dropping one grenade after another. Sonya is coming in once again, now two. The combo is hitting, but the shield is still on. Shad can go in, tries to go for the kill, tries to just simply get enough stacks for his team right now. They're doing a great job here for the objective. Both of the teams are so close to get that Punisher. Liquid really needs a win right now.
They're going for the race. Here comes the storm. The mana is low. It's going to be the Punisher for Liquid. And immediately they engage onto Outlaws here. They're trying to just grab anyone. There's no mana on any player here for the Outlaws. But it looks like they will be able to escape here despite the grenade from Zico. But now the Punisher is pushing mid. Tychus, though, having to back up to defend his mid lane a bit as there was a good minion wave push. But overall, Team Liquid barely snatching that away from the Outlaws.
It was so close. And several times Outlaws were so close to dying. Muradin, he was on his last leg several times but got kept alive. But both of these supports now, the fight is starting up again, and this time Liquid finally has that momentum. This is what we've been talking about earlier. They accepted a disadvantage. They accepted losing the objective for their fighting chance, and it was a close call, but now they have a bit of an upper hand as they make their play for the first keep of the game. The Punisher is eliminated though. They keep taking damage but not dropped just yet as we see the Outlaws re-engage again.
A huge Twilight Dream immediately wiping out Dak. Monster Bear able to blink heal himself to freedom. But that Twilight Dream, like you said earlier, is just game-changing. And we see the Outlaws, after their pretty decent re-engage, are immediately on the back foot and they have given up this keep. Because there's nothing they can do to defend it. They lost Kerrigan. They're now in a disadvantageous position.
Yeah, at the top lane we also have a bit of a push happening. Will be defeated eventually, but it could lose a few hit points on that keep. Team Liquid is in the lead. Only slightly when it comes to experience, but taking that keep down is a very big move. They were up to this point in a very, very nasty situation. Right now they're starting to gain control of the game. They're deep pushing the lanes again, and Liquid at this point is starting to take the complete initiative in the game.
They really are. They're starting to turn it on their head. They finally got that kind of counter engagement. We saw the Outlaws earlier on trying to catch out Malfurion and put him in trouble. He takes Twilight Dream and Ice Block, making himself not a viable target. They try to go on to Sonya. Sonya gets cleansed and uses her immense sustain and the Nerves of Steel to survive. They try to go onto Tychus. The resistance he gets in Odin protects him. They try to get Zarya. She has Unstoppable Competitor, making her not a suitable target. The early game snipes the Outlaws were able to get have just been completely negated by the late game talents and very efficient play from Team Liquid.
Talking about efficient plays, we have a move for the top lane. The Shrine is going to be activated soon, but that top lane will be pushed in very heavily, which results in Team Liquid backing off. They still have a camp pushing the bottom of the map where we could see another fort fall, but the rest of the team is just trying to take everything down here, which of course sacrifices the position on the Shrine, and we will see a lead in the minions and also a positional advantage on the side of their opponent. If the Outlaws, on the other hand, lose a hero now, that would be a game changer right away.
Yeah, we're seeing the head start. Is it going to be as much as they would have hoped as Team Liquid were able to push this up so quickly? Neither team are going to be at 20 at least the start of this scuffle. But if Liquid can get a couple kills, they may reach it. Dak taking a bit of harassment, gets a blink heal. And once again, though, Sonya just shredding through him with that seismic slam here. Trying to do as much damage as possible. The illusion is getting some good harassment. Devil trying to do any kind of damage too. But right now, it's still a slight head start, but there is the expulsion zone, and that is really big coming in for Team Liquid.
And the Odin is doing solid work. Here comes the Blade Storm as well. Liquid is low. They lose Zarya. The counter kill against Samuro though. And we have Muradin nearly falling. He's still keeping himself alive, clapping like a madman. The kill against Shad, and Muradin is finally down. Kerrigan is alive. Is that going to be enough though? We have Gerdam here trying to keep everybody alive with a quick root on the ground. Locking Kerrigan into place. Poik is low though. If they lose Tychus, it might be the end of that fight. He barely gets away, and we have a 3 versus 3 situation with Liquid backing off for a moment. They're very close. Devil is even moving back, but Kerrigan is still trying to get another Punisher for a team.
Kerrigan waited so long on that maelstrom there, and is now once again going in. She has huge shields. Both of her supports are alive, just letting her be the carry she was born to be. She pushes in, tries to get Poik here. There's no force war, remember, so Poik will get out here. No, never mind. Here comes the Punisher to interrupt that. So he was on the run as well. Once again, no force war to prevent him escaping. So he is just fleeing for his life. He has Indestructible, but that's not going to help her as the Punisher did go over to Outlaws, and they're now pushing it in. Everyone is now alive except for Tychus, who died a little bit late.
Tigers, the re-engage definitely was a mistake. I mean, of course, hindsight being 2020 as is, and in this situation they were probably hoping for a kill there, but with the double support still being alive, it was a huge risk and it backfired. Now we could see the Outlaws actually still taking that game. If they get another kill here, they might make that play for core. It is also an Arcane Punisher, and this is still the roughest one there is. The Silence is out with the Twilight Dream. The Punisher is about to be taken out, but guess who's jumping the wall? It is the Dwarf. Murden is back to business, but they cannot go for core just yet. They didn't get the extra kill. Tychus is about to come back, and therefore the Outlaws have to back.
A little bit earlier, though, they did lose some health on their core, and now they've been caught by the root. Here comes the Blade Storm, but the counter damage is too much. Monster Bear is in retreat. Veishi, who took the reduced cooldown on his stealth here, is trying to flee as well. Muradin buying time for his team. There's the heal onto Dak. Muradin is going to give his life for the team. Good stun by Dak, but the resistance, Relentless, gotten by the Wrath of the Berserker, was able to let Sonya keep chasing, but Kerrigan did escape. But like we said, a little health did go down on the Outlaws' core a little bit early. The shield has recharged, and they were able to be back to defend it. But with Muradin down, TeamLiquid, they're going very aggressive onto this.
They have Breath of the Berserker up, they have the Odin, they have the damage here for sure. They want to go in for it, and they do that immediately. Expulsion Zone has already been used. Muradin was a massive issue in all of the fights thus far, and with him gone, they see an opportunity. They go for it, lose Tychus, but that core is dropping in hit points, and it's dropping fast. This is gonna be a victory. A 2-0 for TeamLiquid as they close out the best of 3 series. Very well done. GG and congratulations.